Hello everyone, welcome to Future Friday. Future Friday is a new tutorial series that I'm starting, and every Friday I'll walk you through one powerful feature in SOLIDWORKS, what it does, how to use it, and why it matters. Whether you're new to CAD or looking to sharpen your skills, these quick, focused tutorials will help you design smarter. Let's dive in. Hello everyone, welcome back to iCAD's Feature Friday. In today's feature, we will explore Cut-Extrude or Extruded Cut command. So Cut-Extrude is something that we all have tried now. It's similar to boss. Instead of adding material, it's just removing material. So if you have seen my previous tutorial on extruded boss or base command, then Cut-Extruded will be very simple. It's in the same way, but only thing is it's removing material instead of adding material from your body. So now I've selected extruded cut command instead of base, and now as you can see here inside this hole there is this extrusion that I want it to cut. So for that I will select the sketch instead of creating one. Since I already have the sketch, I've selected that sketch. As you can see here, there are again the same option as you saw in the extruded boss command, from and direction options. From very similar to the extruded boss command, sketch plane, surface, vertex, offset. Sketch plane is something that you chose if you don't want your cut to start from somewhere else. Surface is something that you select. Let's say you want this cut to start from this particular surface. If you select any surface which is parallel to the sketch plane, it cannot be perpendicular to your sketch plane. It has to be parallel. For example, now I've selected this green surface. As you can see here, the cut is starting from that particular surface. But if I select any plane that is perpendicular to it, it will not start from there because your sketch does not interact with the plane at all. So make sure you select the parallel planes always, and it will start from, let's say I want my cut to start from this particular surface, right? What happens is it won't select that because it's not exactly what a surface is, right? And instead, let's say I'll select this, and my cut will start from that particular plane. I mean, parallel to that plane, not exactly from that plane, parallel to that plane. That's how surface from works. And vertex is again simple thing. You just have to select a point from where you want your cut extrude to start from. And the next is offset. Offset is basically, let's say you want your cut extruder to start from a plane which is, there's no plane, but you want your cut extruder to start at an offset of 20-30 mm. You just have to mention the offset here, 20-30. And if you want the direction to be reversed, you just have to click on the reversal direction button, and then your direction will be reversed, and the cut extrusion will start from that particular offsetted point. And let's go back to sketch plane, and direction is again the same thing, blind through all, both, up to vertex, up to surface, offset from surface, mid up to body, and mid plane. So everything is very similar to what you saw in boss extrude command. So now what I want is, I want this particular sketch to cut through this hole or through the body. I just don't want it to stop because I don't know if there are something over here I want it to cut as well, and I want a clean hole. So for this option, instead of selecting the blind, I have multiple options that I can select. First is either I can choose blind and then give the dimension, whatever the extrusion of this cylinder is. I have to give that particular number here. It's 150. So if I give 150, my cut will be for 150 mm. But the thing is, let's say I make some changes to the cylinder and then I extrude it for another 50 mm. I go back to the feature and then extrude it for another 50 mm. My cut will still be at 150. It will not be 200. So that's how blind works. Instead of blind, if I choose through all, as you can see, there's no dimension that I have to give. It will automatically stop at the end of this boss extrude. So even if I go back and change the feature from 150 to 200, my cut will still be 200 mm because I've given through all. Through all both is basically, let's say you're starting from a mid plane and you want your sketch to cut on both the directions, similar to mid plane, but in cut. So in cut, there is no mid plane. Okay, there is cut, there is mid plane. Okay, so it's very similar to mid plane, but in cut. So it's not, you're not giving any dimension. It is cutting the particular sketch through your body. Okay, that's what through all is. And up to next is something which will so as soon as it hits as it cuts one portion. Okay, I will show up to next in a different example. Let's go to up to surface. I can choose up to surface. This is the third. This is the first was blind, second was through all, third was through all both, and the fourth is up to surface. We cannot use up to next here because up to next will stop at a certain point. I'll show that in the next couple of minutes. Up to surface is basically you have to select a surface till where you want the cut to happen. If I select this surface, similar to how from was, the two option will stop at that particular surface. And if I select this surface, my cut will stop at that particular surface. And even if we extend the feature for another 50 mm, the surface will still be there. So it will automatically select that surface. So you don't have to worry about cutting again the rest of the dimension that you extruded. And next is offset from surface. Offset from surface is very similar to what we saw in extrude command. Basically, you are offsetting the cut from a particular surface. Let's say this was our, I'll deselect direction 2, and this was the original surface, and I want my offset to start, my sketch offsetting to start from this particular surface. So what it's doing is, now whatever the dimension I enter will start from this particular plane. If I enter 150, it will be from this particular pink color face that you see. So it will cut till that surface. It's not like it's not cutting it till that surface, but the dimension that you provide in the dimension box will be after the selected surface. So if I select 200, the overall dimension of the cut is basically 200 plus the distance what you see from this plane and the sketch plane. That's what it is. That's what offset from surface is. Let's say I'll give 50 mm. And now as you can see here, the 50 mm is basically from the pink plane to the yellow color thing that you see here. Now if I select reverse offset, the 50 mm is from the pink point to further 50 mm on the other direction. So it's not on the same direction, but it's on the opposite direction. Since the distance between the pink and the sketch plane is more than 50 mm, you'll not be able to see any cut. But let's say if it is smaller than that, as you can see here, the distance between pink plane and the sketch plane is almost 20 mm. That's why we can see half, the half the extrusion because there is a reverse, reverse offset. It can either be this or reverse offset, like that. And that's what offset from surface is. Up to body is again the same thing. Since we don't have any body here, I don't think I'll be able to show that. And the last option is mid plane. If you want to cut anything similar to how we saw the option in extruded command, it's symmetrical cut. So it cuts on the same dimension on the both side. That's it. The overall dimension is 364 now. It's not one side 364. If I give 500, the overall dimension of the cut from this point to this point, it is 500. That's how mid plane was. So for this particular cut option, I will select through all. And as you can see here, my cut will stop there. Now, this is one cut, right? But if I go to the front view, there is this material still, present from this cylindrical body. Now I want a hole here as well. Basically, I want to make sure the T path exists like this. You see, I want this T path. For that, I will select this sketch and I will go to Cut-Extrude. Now what happens is, if I select through all, my cut is going to execute till the end of the solid body. That's what through all is. It always executes the cut till the end of the solid body. Like if I draw a line from this point to vertically towards y-axis, that line is gonna be tangential to this curve you see here, because that's the end of my solid body. So that's why you see the yellow line being extended way after the cylinder. So, but the thing is, I don't want that. I want it to cut only till this point. So for this, I cannot use blind, because even if I use blind, I need to know the exact, dimension. I need to, see the drawing. I need to make sure that it's not extruding. And even if it is, what happens is, let's say now this cylinder, like it's curved right here. If I let's say if I give 1 or 10 mm more, it's gonna cut till this point. So it looks very messy. I'll show you how that looks. So this is how it will look. This is not something that I want in my 3D model at all, and it's not even according to the drawing. So that's why for this example, we saw many options, right? Through both and everything. For this option, I'll select up to next. So what up to next is going to do is, as soon as it cuts the first thing that it sees, it will not extend till the end. It will stop after the first and second surface. The first surface, the entry point was this, and the second surface was this. As soon as it hits the second surface, it's going to stop. The extrude, the cut is not going to be proceeded. As you can see here, there is nothing else to move forward. So that is why the cut will end here. So that's why I'm going to use up to next here. As you can see, when I click on OK, the cut is a very clean cut. It's a tangential cut here because it cannot move forward because the surface is again curving back. So that's why there is nothing to move forward. And as soon as it hits that, as soon as it cuts the first portion that it hits, it's going to stop. That's what up to next is. So you have to use up to next only in certain circumstances whenever it's required, not always. And the next is, there is this extrusion, and as you can see, there is a sketch here. I want this sketch to cut through this first option. Again, for this, I will use up to next because I want it to stop cutting after it hits the second, the next phase of its path. So now when I click on up to next, it's going to stop cutting as soon as it hits the next phase or plane. But instead of that, if I give mid plane, it's going to cut through both the end, and I need to give it a dimension, which is not something that I want. I can select up to surface because I want this cut to happen till the next surface. So if up to surface works in this situation, but if you don't know where the surface is, the best option is up to next. Done. Right? And the last one is this option. I want this particular hole to cut from here to here. Right? So for that, again, I will select extrude cut. Okay, yeah, it's going to sketch now. We don't want the sketch. You know what I'll do is, instead of this plane, I will take the mid plane now, front plane. I'll change the plane sketch. Now, how to change the plane of a sketch is, click the sketch, right click, you see this option, edit sketch plane. If you click on that, you can change the plane of your sketch to whichever the plane you want. But it has to be parallel to the original sketch. It can be either this, it cannot be either this. I don't know. I have never tried this though. Yeah, see, I'm getting an error. So it has to be parallel. If not parallel, it needs to have some relations. As you can see here, the sketch is there, but the sketch has no relation. That's why we will not be able to do it. Basically, it will give an error because of the unknown dimensions and the relations. So let's go back. Select the sketch which you want to change the plane of, and right click. You see this edit sketch plane option. Now delete the phase 1 sketch and drop this down. You see a front plane here. I'll click on front plane, click OK. Now the relation is secured, relation is still there. It's not if the relation is gone or anything. The relation of this particular sketch still exists. That's why we don't see any, negative mark or positive mark here, which says it is properly defined. It's not underdefined, it's not overdefined. Now I've selected the sketch. I'll go to extruded cut, and instead of up to next works, but only in one direction. But I want the extrude to happen in both the directions. So instead of up to next, I'll click on through all both direction. So as you can see here, the cut. The cut is happening in both the direction and through all in both the directions, right? This, if I draw a line from this point, extrude it, this cut will coincide with that line because this is the end of the solid body in Z direction, Z and negative Z direction. So that's how through all both the direction works. And similar to your extruded boss, you can also give draft to your cuts. But since this is through all both direction, as you can see here, direction 2 is automatically selected. So in this case, if you want draft on both the side, you have to click draft on both of these options. Otherwise, only one draft will be selected. And that's how your cut extrusion works. But let's say I don't want the solid extrusion here. Basically, what I want is I want this extrusion to happen like a wall. So in that case, what you should do is go to extruded cut, select the sketch. Instead of leaving it as it is, what you should select is thin features. If you select thin features, what it does is it will basically, I'll just go through all. It will basically create a thin wall section around the sketch, around the closed sketch, and extrude that. I'll show you how that works. Since the cut is happening in a very different manner, I'll select all the bodies this time. This body is now separated from the original body. So that's how it has cut. The thin wall section has cut through the body, but it has left whatever that is inside the thin wall section as it is. But I can change that. If you go to extruded cut, you can change the contours, or let me just go back, delete this option. When you're cutting, as you can see here, when you're cutting it through thin wall section, thin feature option, 1 mm on both the side. When you click OK, it will ask you which body you want to preserve. You can either go with all bodies, or you can go with selected bodies and select the first body, because the other two bodies are something which you don't want. If you want them, you can select them as well, or you can just go with all bodies. If you want only first and the second body, you can select whichever body you want to select to preserve and click on OK. The rest of the bodies will be deleted. Yeah, the last option is, now let's say I have a sketch. Now, as you can see here, I have a closed profile. What I want to do is I want to remove whatever that's outside this box. But if I had to delete something that is outside this particular sketch, closed sketch that you see here, I'll just, right, whatever the closed sketch that you see outside this thing, I have to again draw a small sketch over here, but I don't want to do that. It's too much work. I want to select that particular section and then I want to remove everything. So instead, what I'll do is, if I want to delete something that is outside the sketch that I have drawn, there is an option in your cut extrude feature. So select your cut extrude feature, and now instead of the same, instead of through all both, let it be through all both. We want to delete whatever that's outside the feature. But instead of the normal option, what you should click on is this flip side to cut option. When you select that flip side to cut option, it will not remove what's inside the sketch, but it will remove what's outside the sketch. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. It will remove everything that's outside the sketch. As you can see here, when I deselect this option, the yellow box will be inside the sketch. But when I check this option, the yellow thing will be, which is outside the sketch. So when you click OK, only the part that is outside the sketch is removed here. As you can see, this is what my sketch was, and this is what has been removed from here.
Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.